Hello.
Hey.
Hi every
Hey.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Splintered Grace. My name is Bonnie Violet and I'm a transgender queer spiritual drag artist and digital chaplain. And this is my co-host.
Hey, everybody. This is Tina Frank. I'm logging in from Arizona, and I'm a mature conservative Christian woman. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm so excited that you're all here.
Yes, so glad that you're here. This is episode 2 of season 3. And
Wow. Three
who've
seasons.
for folks who've never been here before, we love to hear from you. So feel free. And for folks, you might be listening to us, so you might not be able to engage in the same way if you're listening to us on a podcast. But we do record this live every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it can be watched on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. So the great thing about watching us live is that you can participate. So you can ask us questions, you can tell us we're pretty, you can tell us there's something weird going on behind us, like whatever. If there's bad sound, like please tell us. Those
Yeah.
sorts of things.
Did you forget Instagram?
Well, Instagram is a place they can watch it afterwards for
Ah,
sure.
okay. All right. So I'm still
Yes,
learning all this technical stuff.
I
So
know.
hey, where are you coming live from us at, Bonnie?
I am in Baltimore, which it feels like it's so late, which it is. It's like 8:30 here. And yeah, so I'm in Baltimore. I'm here for a couple of days, and then I'm going out to Deep Creek to a lake house. I'm here with my sister's family, my chosen family sister, Marcus. We've been friends for like 20 plus years. You know Marcus.
Yep, I do.
But Marcus and I have been sisters for a long time, and so I'm here hanging out with his brother and his brother's husband and their family, and it's just been like super, super great.
That's awesome. How's the weather there? I'm all about the
It
weather.
So I didn't make it outdoors today, but
Oh,
when I came in last night, it was uh, very different than San Francisco. I had left San Francisco in like pants and a sweater, and I was like, "Girl, you are like not dressed well," because like it's just humid and fairly hot.
uh,
So,
yeah,
but still great to be in the heat for sure.
that's
Um,
awesome.
Hi, Elizabeth. How's it going? Hey there. How's Baltimore? I'm watching you on my big TV tonight. Uh-oh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
We're on
hope we're looking good
TV?
on. No, I hope we're looking good on the big screen.
I know, huh?
How
I'm gonna
about you?
scoot
What's going on with
away from
you?
my camera. No.
Right? What's going on with you, Tina?
I'm just having a wonderful week. I've been able to keep busy, connect with friends, enjoy being in my space. We had rain here, which for
Mm,
the last few years has been non-existent. So we've gone on a couple weeks now of rain. I've just so enjoyed that. So I've been spending some extra time in my garden, and I've found that if I sit in my
mm,
house when it's raining outside, I can decide whatever temperature it is outside because it makes me
right?
feel like fall or feel like winter. So I've been
Mm.
doing some pretending this last week.
And the rain and heat to me is so much fun. I
Yeah.
loved. I know they don't quite have monsoon seasons like they used to, but I loved monsoon season when I lived in Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I'm kind of grateful for those big storms that we have with the dirt flying. I don't miss
Hmm.
that. But yeah, the monsoon season has certainly changed over the years. So we're
For
grateful
sure.
for the rain. A little bit of flooding going on in places, but everything's good.
Hmm. And hi, Cheryl. I can't wait to meet you as well this weekend. Cheryl is Marcus's sister, and
Oh,
so
yay.
we're all meeting up, kind of a little family reunion. So it's going to be super cute. Um,
You guys are going to have so much fun.
it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a boat and water skis too, so
Oh, yay.
should
So I
be
hope you
lots.
I hope you brought your bathing suit.
I did. I'm gonna. Yes, I'm gonna. Um, I wanted to start off this, I guess, this week. This week our topic is the elephant that is spelt wrong. Did you see that typo?
Oh, I did
Anyway,
not.
oh wait, no, it's spelled right. My eyes were
I
just
think
crossed.
I think the P is making it look wrong.
Oh, it looks like an H, huh?
Yeah.
Anywho, sorry. But the elephant and the mouse was just scheduled as our episode 2. And we can take that a number of ways. But the idea of a mouse and an elephant kind of being in close companionship is, I guess, something that's not thought to happen. Elephants are often scared of mice, allegedly, and mice could probably be harmed by an elephant pretty
Yeah,
easily and even unintentionally. So we're not
that's true.
calling either of us an elephant or a mouse.
Phew, thanks for clarifying that because I
I,
was
I
thinking people are stereotyping right now.
I know when we brought it up, you're like, as long as I'm not the elephant.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
Thank you
like,
for
well,
clarifying.
I think we all get to be an elephant and a mouse at some point, right?
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, and so for folks who maybe didn't see last week's episode, you might have noticed, and maybe it wasn't noticeable to everyone else, but to me, I was really challenged, and what there was some stuff going on with me that I don't think I was fully aware of. And it kind of like after the episode, I was kind of able to, I don't know, just think about like, hey, what's going on? Because I felt like a lot of resistance on my side or some sort of like defense almost was kind of coming up for
Mhm.
me. And I was trying not to respond as if that was what was going on, but I had like this stuff going on for me. And confession is I think I came to realize that gosh, it's a number of things. One, I how do I want to say this?
Just take your time and just articulate it the way you want.
I
There's
know.
no
So
wrong way to say what you want to say. So,
yes, so what we always talk about how we're not trying to change one another, and we hope that we're changed by being in relationship with each other, but we're not necessarily trying to change each other's ideas or perspectives or beliefs. But I think I was. I think there was a part of me that there was one part of you, and I don't even know that it was necessarily you. I think it might have been like what you represent, but I think it did. I think it was personal just because it's you,
mm,
as well, in that sense, because I know you love me and I know you care about me and you like see me and hold me and are in relationship with me in a way that I would love all my family to be in relationship with me, you know? And so I got hung up on the idea of whether or not you thought being trans was a sin.
mm,
And and it really doesn't matter, but it did to me. And I hadn't realized it. I'd kind of had, I know we talked about kind of being afraid of that moment that something would happen or something would be brought up and
yeah.
one or the other would kind of like break this up. And I think for me, that had become the thing. It was like,
Mm,
if she thinks being trans is a sin, then I'm done. I'm out. And I was like, girl, that's not fair. And that's not even what you're trying to do. Like, as I was thinking, okay, next episode, I'm going to just say it. It's trans being a sin. And then I'm like, but if she says yes, she says no, what does it like? What does it matter? If she says yes, do I say bye, see ya? You didn't love me the right way, or,
mm,
whatever, that sort of thing. Or because you did say that it's not, then for some reason I can feel affirmed and whatever. Either way, it was me putting a condition um, on our relationship with one another. And I don't think it was unreasonable for me to have, that sort of response and to kind of be struggling with this. And this is partly why we wanted to bring it up because I did talk with you earlier today, kind of about what was going
yeah.
on and confess to you, I was definitely a little bit more snottier and tearier. But it was a difficult thing for me to talk with you about because I didn't want to hurt your feelings and I knew that it was kind of my own thing. And like I'm good with God. I know that this deeper relationship I have with God and the more I seek God, the more trans I identify as being, and the more that I'm expressing myself in a way in which I kind of fall in that column, at least in my understanding of this part of my life. And so I don't need anyone to affirm or confirm or validate, if you will, my experience with God. And I know that, and plenty of other people can tell me that being trans is a sin or all those sorts of things and it would just kind of roll off. It's gotten to where it just rolls off of me.
Mm,
But I realized that you were different for me in that way, and that really wasn't fair for me to put you um, like in that place of power, or I don't know how to say it, but I'm happy to be able to like be on the other side of that. Like you, like I don't have to know those things in order to to continue on with this relationship in the way that it has, and in some ways I feel like I'm just all the better for it, and having the opportunity to kind of really like um dig deep.
Yeah. I think relationships that challenge one another to be better and to seek our purpose. I think those relationships are healthy, but it can be
Hmm.
hard. It can be
Yeah.
hard, and it's really hard not to try to change the people around us and to just love them where they're at.
Hmm.
It's hard for everyone. So I commend you for being willing, first of all, to have the conversation because this isn't an easy conversation.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being brave enough to talk to me, even though if I could have went totally ballistic and said blah blah blah, and you were willing to take that risk because
Yeah.
that to me lets me know that our relationship is important to you,
Hmm.
and I'm
When
grateful because it's very important to me as well, and I would have been very, very, very upset
yeah,
had you just
well,
called me and said, "Nope, sorry."
yeah, and I would have been really disappointed in myself, and that was a thing that for me, like I knew better. Like I knew better. You call me regular, you talk to me, you pray for me, we talk about things that really matter, like all the kinds of things
Yeah,
to show action and love. And for whatever reason, like there was this one thing that I was hung up on. And again, I don't necessarily need any of that from you for love, but it's cute, like it's nice.
yeah,
um, but Brandon says, thank you for your honesty and sharing. Uh, and I think, and and I didn't bring it to you for a couple of months, like we had a conversation about um, trans kids having access to hormones, and one thing led to another, and something was said, and then I was like, oh wait, maybe she doesn't think how I thought she thought, and I
yeah,
hadn't really thought that way, and I felt like I had totally kind of like just let go, and then all of a sudden it was just like an old thought, an old situation just like clicked in, and it kind of took over for a minute. And I also felt like it was like my shit. It was my stuff that I didn't want to put onto you. And that's something that I often do in relationships that's not helpful, that I'm coming to get like my shit, even if it's my shit, like
yeah,
it's impacting our relationship. Like I need to talk with you about it.
right,
Um, in order to move on, because then otherwise we're like having two different relationship or two different experiences with the same relationship.
right. And that, what you're saying is so key. As we continue relationship, and not just the two of us, but any of us in a relationship, it's going to require a change, not necessarily change in, our identity or our appearance or whatever, but change in how we look at things, change in how we preview things, change in how we interact with one another, and maybe, hopefully, if we're learning from one another, which is our goal, helping us to change some of the interactions of the other people around us.
Mm,
And so it's hard. So what you just described to me, just listening, was that you got caught in an old habit or an old way of thinking, but you saw it right away,
mhm,
and you decided, I'm going to change this. You're renewing your mind. You're renewing it to say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I know this isn't true. I know this is old thinking, and I'm not going to engage in it. And I'm so grateful that you reached out to me. I will say, over the last few months, I'm like, this. Our conversations have been different,
yeah,
and I was sharing with my husband that I think I must have offended Bonnie. She hasn't said so. She still responds to my text messages, but it's different.
yeah.
So now I can understand.
Yeah, there was
So
just some distance there, and at the time I was just so hard pressed of trying to get you to understand, and it was like it, it doesn't matter, and you know what I mean? And so what if we don't understand
Yeah.
each other's perspective? And I was at that moment, I was just so caught up in wanting to change how I perceived you saw things.
Mm,
And I just knew it wasn't, I knew I wasn't like behaving. I knew that I wouldn't have been in conversation in a way that I felt would feel good for me and also be useful.
mm.
Um, and so I think it just took me a little bit of time to process it, and thankfully, and I mean, I just think those are the things that are going to happen sometimes. Um, and I know I'm just all the better. I'm all the better for it because I was
Thanks.
kind of putting you on that pedestal again, like I did when I was a child,
Oh,
and
don't
that's
do that. Don't do that.
it's not no, and that's what I said. It's not fair to you, and
Yeah.
it's not even helpful, And I
Yeah.
think there was just one part of me that I hadn't really thought, or I don't know, like I kept saying too, like as long as you see me the way that yeah, I don't know. There was just like this, there was a condition. And I'd been saying it very out loud the whole time, but I didn't even realize that was there. Um, so I appreciate that we've been able to kind of like continue so that
Yeah.
selfishly I can come to that kind of understanding and awareness as well. It's just gonna, help me actually live into um, what I believe God wants all of us to be able to live into.
The goal for us, I think, for all of us, is to fulfill the purpose that we were created for. And the only way to do that is to allow ourselves the opportunity to continue to change and move. Because as much as I may not need to change on the outside, or there's always something to change on the inside. I want to build my
Mm,
character every single day. I want to understand other people's perspective and grow my own perspective every single day. I want to
yeah,
gain wisdom on how to navigate the things around me and the new relationships. I pray that I get new encounters with people every single day.
yeah,
And if I'm not willing to change and adapt so that I can have conversations or at least be open, I don't want to be that grumpy lady at the supermarket that nobody wants to say hello to. I want to be that
right.
lady that's smiling, that's almost tiny bit annoying to people because the smile is so big on my face, and they're
Right.
like, oh, if I say hello to that lady, she's not going to stop talking to me.
Here
You
comes her.
know,
Here she comes again.
yeah, I wanna yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
wanna have a positive, infectious, um, I don't know, interaction with people. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah,
Yeah.
but it requires me to change because I don't always feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I appreciate you saying that, and I'm sure we'll have other things. I'm sure I'll have my share of things also, because as much as
Mm-hmm.
we are different, um, our relationship that we choose, those differences will run into one another a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. It was.
Um,
I'm just glad that we were able to talk about it. I felt like we just talked about it this evening so earlier. So it's like
yeah,
we're cute. We're good.
yeah, we're good. We're good.
But but we felt like it was good. And can you talk a little bit, or do you mind sharing a little bit how that was for you to hear me earlier and kind of hold that space for me?
Well, it was an easy one. I felt really bad that I had offended you or had hurt you in some way because that is not the desire of my heart. And my mind was racing on how do I fix this? How do I fix this? How do I fix this? And I decided I don't.
Yeah.
I just let you say what you need to say. I respond the best way that I know how, with honesty and love and a desire to continue to do life together.
Hmm.
And I had to be willing to one allow you to get all that out, because if I try to interrupt you, and it's not gonna end well. I felt like
Yeah.
it never has in my past anyway. Let people finish what they're saying, and then come in as calm, as positive, loving way as possible. And I felt like, as much as my heart was breaking, that you were going to say, "Okay, I've decided that we're not doing this anymore."
Mm.
I had to allow that to be okay, and in the moment. and not respond quickly. I know that there's a couple moments there that I was like, had to catch myself because I was like, wait, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, stop, stop, we're not doing that. And so it was scary. I don't know how else to say it. It was scary. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this thing that is this relationship that I've missed for all that time that I've just gotten back? Is it about ready to just slide away?
Mm,
So I'm
yeah.
glad we were able to talk through it.
And I was just as afraid of that too. I felt like you allowed the space for that to happen, and I tried to over and over say like, no, like you didn't hurt me and this isn't anything that you really did. It's like me, like I'm the one who I guess was, you know what I mean? Like I was causing that pain. Um it wasn't anything that you were doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I think that was something that I had to. I mean, you know that, right? But sometimes when you get in those spaces, it's just like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I,
and I,
I felt bad about the whole conversation that we had, however many months ago. I'm
mm,
like, oh, why did I even bring that up?
well,
It
we
wasn't
both,
even an important conversation.
well, but I think it was really good because that was one of the things that like, and you think very differently on that than I do, or at least you did in that moment. And
Mhm.
I felt like we both were having a really, like it was definitely like a very much kind of like a knee jerk kind of like
Yes, conversation.
fright, fight or
Yeah.
fright kind of fight or flight kind of like
It
conversation.
was definitely a different type of conversation than we're used to having.
Hmm.
So we were
Yeah, and
both
that's
trying to be convincing, and neither one of us needed to be convincing.
yeah. It was yeah, and I hadn't had that experience with you, and I was like, and I guess and that's not how I want to be in relationship with you. It's
Yeah,
okay that that happened, and that might happen at some point in time, but it was definitely like I do not want to continue at this level in
yeah,
our relationship. Like it's not going to work. And so I really had to kind of evaluate like why does it matter? Like why is it that important? And I think for me I just felt like yeah, and I just want to share this just in case there are other folks that are also having a challenge in their own relationships. I did feel like if you didn't like it was just now I forgot what I was going to say, but I don't remember what I was going to say, but I definitely felt like I almost, I questioned whether I was betraying myself. Like, am I
yeah,
betraying myself by not demanding that you see and see things a certain way? And really, it was you see me a certain way,
mm,
and that's not something. You know what I mean? Like that's God. God is the only one who can really see me for who I am. If I
that's true.
continue to expect people in my life, even the people that are the closest to me, to see me and know me in the way that God does, I'm going to constantly be let down. And that's no that's no shade on anyone else. Like that's just how we are humans, and I think that's what for me a little bit of what the utilization of God, like what God's for in some ways.
Well,
um or,
he created you, so he knows all your ins and outs.
mhm,
All the potential he put in you, all the potential he wants to draw out of you, when he wants to draw it out of you. And I remember there's a passage, Ephesians 3:20. This is my paraphrase, so if you go read it, it's not going to say exactly this, but my paraphrase. This is one of the few scriptures that I've got to memory. Is that God wants to do far more than I can think or imagine
mm,
in me and through me.
yeah,
And so I just try to tell myself every single day that I want to have a vivid imagination and
mm,
a large imagination of what my life should look like, of the desires that I have, of the potential that I have within myself. Now, I can only do that for me. I can't do that for Bonnie. I can't do that for my children or my husband. I can only do that for me. But
right,
when I sit down and I think about all those things and I realize, oh my gosh, God wants to do more than that.
mm,
It really is a space that helps me to land and to ground myself and to find a place of joy and opportunity to move forward. So
mhm.
so when I yeah Anyway, so that's what I see when I see you. I see an unlimited opportunity that God has put in you that I'm just very
Mm,
excited to be a part of, to be able to see it as God molds it and shapes it for the purpose that He
mhm.
created you for.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
So
definitely and, like, continues to create me, it's not about just being, like, God loves me anyway, or God
yeah,
understands why I'm a mess up. It's like, no,
no,
we're, like, in this together and we're doing this, like, it's not,
that's right.
and so it's like and like you said, it's like, I know that ever since I started seeking a relationship with God, a spiritual way of living again, I have lived beyond anything I could have ever thought of for myself. I
Mm,
had limited
praise God.
myself in so many ways. We've talked about this in previous seasons, kind of that poverty thinking that
Hmm.
really wasn't about like money or anything like that. It was just this idea of scarcity, or I don't know what it was, but I've definitely been able to, since I've again actively sought a spiritual way of life, I've continued to um, I mean, who knows? Like, who knows what's next? I mean, even
Yeah,
like 2 months ago, I wouldn't have told you I'd be like moving out of my house
Baltimore.
and deciding to like just show up across country all over and like do what I think is gonna happen. Like I didn't come up with that on my own.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty. It's been interesting for me watching you get ready for this transition. You know,
Mhm.
calling you and you got all your stuff out and you're giving it to people and people are coming by to. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh. I part of me was like, no, this really isn't happening. And then
Mm.
here you are. Like, I saw your Facebook and your stuff yesterday. Okay, I'm on the plane. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. How was it supposed to
Yeah,
happen for, I'm thinking, oh, the 14th, the 18th, the 17th, whatever day it was. It's coming. It's
mm,
not, but it's like, oh my gosh, that's today. So yeah,
yeah.
pretty
It
crazy.
is it's awesome. It was a little surreal for a while, but it's definitely real.
Yeah. Well, there you
No.
are in Baltimore. Wow.
Angel is saying hi, happy Thursday.
Happy
And
Thursday, Angel.
in his topless photo. Thanks, Angel.
Ah,
No shade.
that's funny.
Yes, so now what? I mean, like now I feel like we can just like go on and
Talk about
dance
whatever
in
we want.
the dance in the grass, wave our arms.
That's awesome.
How about folks that are listening to us? Do you have any questions about kind of what this process was for us, or what was going on, or if you could identify with anything? But yeah, I mean, I just went back to that old way of thinking and seeing things, and
It's easy to do. I feel like sometimes when we get backed in a corner or things
hmm
happen that we are like not expecting, we go back to what's natural, what was natural.
hmm
And so I feel like that's exactly what you did. What had you always done in
yeah,
that situation?
yeah. I mean, it
So
was definitely like a trauma response. It was like,
yeah,
it was like because when I Yeah, it was like that time when I lost church after my HIV diagnosis and my sexual orientation. It was like that same old feeling again, where again
yeah,
I gave power where I shouldn't give power, and it hurt me.
yeah.
And that's just, and so it was just a reminder of like, oh, there's just a little bit of that still in there, and who knows, maybe I'll find more of that some other time too. But this particular thing I think is was really kind of the I don't know, the thing for me. Um, Christine says the kind of bold, courageous love that you ladies exhibit as you hold space for each other is total. Hashtag life goals. Hashtag just saying. 3 hearts.
Thanks, Christina.
Mm. Thanks, Christine. A regular listener of ours.
Yes.
So happy to see you journey over to another season with us.
Yeah. So Christine, does this time frame work better for you than the morning time? I know she was working sometimes on the when we were together during the day. So
Mm,
so that's something else you can let us know. If there's a that this time slot's better, if you like the daytime better, we're going to continue with this through this season. But as
Hmm.
we're building and as we continue to learn how to do life together, we want to make sure that we can share as much of ourselves with you guys as we can.
Yeah. And, I think maybe we are. And again, as always, we love to hear what you all would like to hear from us, whether tonight or in future conversations. But I think for me, I'm probably a lot more better prepared and ready, to
Mm.
be able to talk about some of the nitty-gritty stuff in a way in which maybe we each can share our perspectives, um, without and just doing that, like just sharing our
Yeah.
perspectives. Um, and yeah, we'll see how that goes, huh?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
I
okay
feel,
sharing my perspective.
yeah, I mean, I feel really light and ready. It's so light that my shirt won't stay on.
That's so funny.
But yes.
When you have a breakthrough like that, I feel that there is a lifting, like a lifting of a burden that comes off. I know that's kind of a spiritual thing, but you can
Mm,
physically feel it, and I think that's what you're
yeah.
describing. I can feel it when after we had our conversation today. I was like, oh, it's. I felt like whatever was in between us, keeping us from that deeper conversation. Because remember, we used to have some pretty deep conversations,
Yeah.
and they kind of just have kind of there. We've had conversations because we're both committed to walking and being in relationship together. And although over the last couple of months those relationships were a little bit shallower,
Hmm.
um, we still had them. And so I'm
Yeah.
so looking forward to that being lifted so that we can move forward and continue to share with one another at a deeper level.
Right. And I had thought, and I had thought, yeah, I don't know, just like because we did kind of, I don't remember what I was going to say with that, but Christine says that she has a more open schedule now,
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I think this time works fine for her.
Yay. Yay.
Yeah.
So how's the time shift? How are you handling that, Bonnie? You got a
It's
3-hour difference, right?
yeah, yeah, and I mean, it was wild because, and it's, I think partially like, I don't know, because like when I left, I got maybe like 2 hours of sleep. I got up at 3:33 in the morning because, I'm that
Oh,
girl,
bless.
and, was the airport by 4:30, then on a plane. And then last night I fell asleep like, I think 8:30 here at night, which is
Oh,
like
wow.
5:30,
Yeah.
and then I slept through until like 6 o'clock this morning this time. So it was like I was tired. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that helped reset me to where now I'm like, okay, I'm on a regular
Regular
schedule,
time.
like it feels like 8:30.
That's cool. That's cool. So you
For
don't have
sure.
much jet lag or anything today.
I slept it all away.
That is awesome.
Yes, yes, yes. Mm.
Cool, cool.
So yeah, I'm like, I really feel like it's just like, I think I'm still kind of shifting in my mind. Like, there's just been such a shift.
Yeah.
And, like I find it really hard to like ugly cry and like really like get that way, but I was able to get that way with you earlier, and it was just like, it's just so, I don't know, just
It's
sometimes that has
cleansing.
to happen.
Yeah, it's cleansing, I think. We
It's
all need a
very
good
cleansing.
ugly cry once in a while.
Well, crying was something that's been really difficult for me because I had a problem with crying as a kid, and I would
Mm.
always start crying when I was a kid, and like everyone, like I couldn't control it, and then it would just it'd be really uncomfortable because people would get upset and mad, and
Oh,
and then it would make me even more uncomfortable, and it was like really wild. And I think over time I just learned not to cry. I learned to avoid
yep.
things that
Yep.
made me cry.
Isn't that funny? I don't know about you, but when I make a choice to not do something or to do something or whatever, and I'm not telling anybody, all the stuff that's going on in my head, do you
Mm,
have that like that voice constantly going, I'm not doing that. Nope. I'm not doing that. Nope. That's gonna, and it's amazing to me, even as a mature Christian woman. how much that still happens.
Mm,
I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to stare. I'm going to be happy. I'm not going to be
mm,
that grumpy. It's in my head all the time.
right, right.
And it's amazing to me how that self-talk is still, and it's not all the good self-talk that you're supposed to have. I still
Mm,
struggle with that being consciously um, aware of what I'm thinking before I say it. And it's
mm,
not easy sometimes. But I was hoping that as I got more mature, I would kind of not have to do that or grow out of that a
right.
little bit, because sometimes I feel like, who is that voice in my head? I don't want to
Mm.
hear it anymore.
I've definitely, it's been nice to be in a place in which I know it's a lot less.
Oh,
And
good.
I often can identify when it's happening and can sometimes either rephrase what I just said or,
Mm,
oftentimes it's the thinking in my head um, that I have to like alter or stop or whatever because I was noticing with my depression, I was really struggling with depression, and I feel like part of that was is that my thinking, like I would feel a way that I didn't think I should feel,
mhm.
which was sad or mad or whatever, because I was actually like dealing with some of my childhood trauma, and then I would get mad at myself saying, "Oh, you shouldn't," or "You should be older. You're too old for this. You're too like that, 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 that," and then it would just be this cycle. The
Mm.
thoughts would make me feel shitty, then I'd feel shitty, and then the thoughts would just get worse, and then I was
Yep,
just
yep,
noticing that either the thoughts would start that, and then the emotions would follow, or the emotions would follow, and then and I
and
was
the
just
thoughts will come
noticing
in.
how connected they were, and if I could just stop the thoughts. Um, I think that's something I've been really trying because I think in the past I was subconsciously just stopping the emotion.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I think I need more experience in feeling the emotions than I do letting thoughts run their course.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I was doing some, just kind of a side note here. I'd like to do word studies sometimes, and visual study of different things. And I've been understanding that certain visual things help me respond differently to different things. Like when I see a coffee cup, I automatically want a cup of coffee. Doesn't matter if there's coffee in that cup or not. If someone's holding it, I want a cup of coffee. And then what I do when I drink coffee is I usually read. So then I'm like, oh,
Mm.
I just want to sit and read and drink my coffee. And it's such no matter what I'm doing in the middle of the day, but that's not the only thing. I've realized I have preconceived emotions or responses, emotional responses to different things, different scenarios, different scents. And it's amazing. And I think what you're talking about there, you're intentional about, okay, if I can manage the thought portion, some of the rest of this
Mhm,
stuff will follow. So I think that's key, and it goes beyond sometimes those things that'll trigger aren't always just an emotion. It's something that triggers an emotion that gets those
mhm,
thoughts going. So
yeah.
yeah,
Elizabeth says all feelings are valid.
they
Uh,
are.
All drag is too. Just saying. Yeah,
You
all
just have
feelings
it's
are
just
valid.
you just have to manage them, right?
Well, and I think that their information, I think they are things that can help us. It's just like what information are we going to take from it and what does it mean? I know for me, I had to gain a literacy of what I was feeling and what was it about. And sometimes try not to change it. Sometimes I needed to soothe it or attend to it, but I didn't
Hmm.
necessarily need to change it or run from it or numb myself from it like
Right.
I would do in the past. Vexed Confidant says a lot of times our patterns with um, anxiety and how we taught ourselves to survive aren't as good for us as we thought they'd be. A lot of trans folks notice that when they start HRT, they are able to feel their emotions more, as well as feel grounded in their bodies. Hmm. I love that. And I would have to say that I have not had much of a relationship with my body. I have not been in my body much until I started embracing the fact that I was trans and started actually being in my body and taking care of my body and having a relationship with my body in a way that I'd never had before. And then through that, yeah, our body holds things. It holds our story. And as we, I think, be with our body, those things come out, especially for someone who isn't aware of her body. And you know what I mean? Like I just haven't ever, I very rarely fully like in my body, spirit, all that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, I was like trying to just think about emotions. In some ways,
Mhm.
I just feel so much better um, with all of it. I was super moody and emotional before before I started hormones. So in some ways, I feel more like tempered or grounded or balanced. Whether
Mhm.
that has to do with the hormones or just where I'm at right now, I don't know. But
That's
huh.
interesting.
So it's so interesting how hormones do impact things. Like I was really surprised at yeah, I was surprised that my that hormones would impact my sexuality. Um, and
Oh, that is interesting.
it has kind of impacted my sexuality in some ways. And I feel like in some ways it's allowed me to be a little bit more expressive and also like it's just different. Um, especially like when it like probably more than what we need to talk about, but like just as far as like libido and how much sex I think about or what kind of sex or what sort of relationships, that sort of stuff, it's all very different. Again, I do think the hormones do have a little bit to do with that, but I do
Mhm.
also think by the time I decided to take hormones, just making that decision, I think, is huge, and it puts
Oh,
your
it's definitely
mind,
huge.
it puts everything in a different space, and so I think I don't know that it's just one thing. I think it's kind of a combination of all those things um, that have kind of allow me to be where I'm at right now.
Well, I'm excited to see what the next season, this season actually, because you just started a new season of your
Mm.
life looks like, and how all those previous seasons are going to come into play as they have positioned you for what happens next.
Yeah, well, and we started the podcast when because I left my job about a year ago now. Or did we start the podcast after or while I was still at my old job?
I think you were still working, not very long after.
Okay,
Oh,
so
you know
we've been
what? No,
doing
no,
this.
maybe not. Maybe you had just left your job.
Okay, yeah. So wild how time has flown. But and
Yeah,
again, it's like those are some of those trajectories. Like I said I was going to do a queer chaplain, and I wanted a queer chaplain to be national, and and like that's happening. And I
yeah,
saw that coming years ago, but I didn't realize it was happening as it was happening. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's just kind of unfolding in a way again that I would not have ever um like
Foreseen.
created on my own.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy, I think
Well, that's awesome.
we're at our 45 minutes. So
Oh,
do
okay.
you want to say summarize some things or say something before I do all the
You say something profound? I don't know if I have anything profound to be. So I
or
just
just
want to
whatever.
say we appreciate you guys taking time with us to just, I don't know, hang out a little bit, hear a little bit about our story. We hope it's uplifting for you guys, and we just encourage you. You know, we want to be part of the conversation. If there's some questions you have for us, if there's some specific things you want to know about who we are, how we think about things, life, we're willing to have those conversations. So you honor us by being here with us. You honor us
Mm,
by listening to the podcast after the fact. So thank you for that. And I
mm,
look forward to being back with you guys next week. Thanks, Bonnie.
great. Yes, thank you. Thank you so, so much. And if you're coming across this for the first time, wherever you're listening to us or watching us, take a moment and follow or subscribe or join or whatever those things are that you're doing on the platform that you're on. And if you heard something that I don't know, that spoke to you, we'd love to hear it. And if you know someone who might do well to listen to this podcast, please feel free to share it. I know sometimes we have these intimate conversations and it feels like, ooh, that's something that's just for us. But we trust that you would pass it off to someone else who could benefit or hopefully gain something from it in the same way that you have and we have. So we will see you next week if you do join us
Yay.
live on Thursday, September 2nd, I think.
Is it September 2nd? Oh, yeah,
Why
I
did I
guess
even
today's
go
the
there?
17th. I don't
I
know.
know
I'm
it's
not even going to
no
try.
next Thursday. I'm sorry. Like it's the Thursday after the 19th of August, which is today.
It's the
We'll
26th.
see you then at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks so much, Cheryl, for the thank you, and ta-ta. Is that it?
See you, everybody. Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Splintered Grace Podcast is brought to you by a queer chaplain. Follow us on all of our social medias, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at a queer chaplain. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Feel free to tip us at Venmo, Bonnie Violet, and support monthly on Patreon. The song is original by Steven Sandnoff, The Chasm Between Us. Rest in peace, Steven.